Obviously, you can imagine a rugby trip is always fun.
Then the big change.
They shout, "Give me power, give me power." I thought this plane is going to crash. All around you, mountains. We are in trouble now.
We were dying. We don't have more energy.
What are you going to eat? We have proteins in the dead bodies of our friends.
It was the only way.
An airplane crashed on a flight from Montevideo, Uruguay to Santiago, Chile.
My life changed in a second.
We were 29 guys alive. So you're alone in the middle of the Andes, no food, nothing, condemned to die.
I don't want to die. The only thing we have the body of our friends.
We decided to eat. That was the only way to honor life, to stay alive, to fight against death.
This group survived one of the most unsurvivable stories in the history of the human being. Whatever you say, whatever you might think, you were not there. We were there. We know. I can assure you that having been there with us on that situation, you would have arrived to the same conclusion at the same moment, and you would have done exactly the same thing. We were 27 guys alive, 27 guys alive. We wanted to live. The situation pushes you into the decision. We have the dead bodies of our friends. And once that the decision is taken, it's taken.
Everybody was doing that because it was the only way to survive. The only way to survive.
To eat our friends, not to die. I thought nothing worse could happen to us anymore.
Y después, bueno, después viene la famosa noticia de la radio de que había cesado la búsqueda.
I remember very clear. We listened to the small radio. They said the search was over.
As soon as the news that the search had been called off came out, it's a very difficult situation because it's the confirmation that you are dead. You know, you're dead.
We felt absolutely abandoned.
They have put men on the moon. Why can't they find us? We were people from the beach. We were born in Uruguay, on the beach, on the sea level, on the white sands of Montevideo and Punta del Este. This was the worst group that could have survived on those conditions because nobody had seen mountains, ice and snow before in their lives.
And then the guy continued speaking on the radio and said, perhaps at the end of January or the first days of February, we can find the dead people and the plane, the crashed plane.
They are going to come in summer when the snow is melted to find all the bodies.
But it was very, very tough to listen that the world turned the page.
I was always thinking that in my house, my father, my mother, my brothers were crying a brother that died in the Andes, and I was alive. I want to return home and say, don't cry anymore, I am alive.
You want to see your mother, your father, your sister, your friends. And of course, Soledad. They were the most important people in my whole life. Every day I talk with Soledad to say, wait me, I am alive, I'm alive. I'm going to return, I'm going to return.
The first day we learned the plane had disappeared was, I think, in my life, the first big and terrible impact. It was not only my love, it was my life. We had planned everything, so everything, fall down.
When we finally knew about the crash, the whole neighborhood was mourning because everyone had a brother or a cousin, a classmate, a neighbor.
It was something so strange. What happened? Where's the plane? Because they left the day before. It was something so that shocked you. What happened?
A girl at school came to me and she asked me if I knew what had happened to the old Christmas plane. And I said, no, what happened? And she said, it's lost. And I said, no, because they flew yesterday, so it's not something that could have happened today. But when I got home, I saw, just half a block from home, I saw that there were plenty of cars and people. So I said, I'm sorry. We knew it was true, and we knew it was bad. It was impossible to survive.
From the first moment, we gathered together with the mothers, with the girlfriends, with the sisters, with the families. And in a certain way, we don't feel alone. That was the only positive sentiment. We were not alone.
Marcelo felt very guilty because he organized all that trip, and he really felt guilty.
Marcelo, el capitán, se nos fue cayendo, se fue destruyendo, sintió el peso de la responsabilidad. Yo los traje a esto y yo los estoy haciéndose comer a sus amigos, una cosa espantosa. Se empezó a diluir y a...
We shout, we cry, and then suddenly la gente empezó a cambiar. Eso, nos dejamos de quejar.
We realized that we were much more stronger than we thought before, our minds and our bodies.
It was incredible how all the group changed from waiting to active, organized, like a group, a team.
We start feeling all the reflection of the sun on the snow was hurting our eyes. Fito, my cousin, he was the inventor because he had a very, very good, bright ideas.
Como que cuando tenés un problema, te surge la solución.
It was really important, the sunglasses.
Yo estuve 3 días vendados los ojos adentro del fuselaje sin poder salir, porque miraba y era un cuchillazo en los ojos. Son los primeros lentes que se hicieron en los Andes. Este es el prototipo, con un elástico de un sutién de mujer, las partes de la visera delantera del avión.
And we save our rights because of that.
On a survival situation of this magnitude, nothing gets better. Nothing gets better. Everything spirals down until it gets worse and worse and worse. Two and a half weeks after we crashed, the weather was not very good. We were inside the fuselage, lying on the floor.
That night there were a lot of cigarettes lighted, very stressed. And suddenly we start listening a terrible noise and trembling. We always compared with 100 of horses just galloping around the fuselage.
Over there, I heard a sound and I looked to my right where this rumble was coming from. And at that moment,
I saw everything jumping to us. I put my hands on protecting my head, and was not an explosion, but an implosion.
The snow went into the fuselage, and 1 second later, I was buried.
Extreme survival.
After the avalanche, something was pushing my head, and I jump out, and I see all the plane covered of snow.
What happened? Where am I? What is this?
I couldn't move my hands, my head.
I couldn't move. I couldn't hear anything, and I couldn't breathe.
I'm going to die.
I said, I'm dying under an avalanche. I'm dying under an avalanche.
¿Qué hace un ser humano cuando está en eso? ¿Le viene una desesperación, un ahogo? No. Yo me aflojo totalmente. Me orino, largo los músculos y me pongo a morir. Y me muero. Me siento libre, perdí contacto con mi cuerpo y pasé a flotar.
I remember so clear that I felt I was dead. Well, I'm dead now. That's so beautiful, where I'm going.
The most peaceful moment in my whole life. When I was dying and I was going to find my father, and I saw him in a beautiful place, like a paradise full of peace and happiness.
I felt it was, I've been there just seeing images of all my life since I was a young boy.
No tenés futuro, no tenés pasado, tenés un presente fuertísimo y una sensación de libertad y de plenitud impresionante. Pero eso ha durado unos segundos o algún minuto.
Time goes more quickly than the normal time. I go and begin digging the faces of everybody. My hands were frozen because we were digging with the hands.
No, Roy Harvey me la agarra, la aprieto porque estaba nerviosísimo. Los Roy, mirá, Pablo, creía que era el único que había quedado con vida, que estaban todos tapados. Bueno, por suerte me logra destapar, yo lo destapo a Eduardo, que estaba al lado mío.
Peter was just on my right, and he started moving, and oxygen came inside my lungs again.
The foot of Fito went out and stayed whole, where air came to my lungs, and I was breathing once again.
Sentí la urgencia de ese momento, porque de repente 10 segundos era la vida o la muerte. Digo, coche, empecé a gritar y a salvar a la gente, no podemos perder un segundo. Gritar, salvarlos, empecé a escarbar.
And you dig like a dog, furious, and quickly, very fast. And your hands was bleeding blood and almost exploding your lungs. But you continue because the life of the others are depending on your hands and your lungs.
And immediately started trying to help Marcelo, that was on my left. He was dead. My friend Marcelo, he was the captain of the team. Everybody knows Marcelo, trust Marcelo. He was dead with a very peaceful expression.
Eight people died in the avalanche. Eight of our friends died in the avalanche, and in these 8 people were my 2 best friends, Gustavo Nikolic y Diego Storm.
I felt a kind of electric shock, something like that, of suffering, and it was very hard and very sad for a fraction of seconds. And immediately my mind cut. I didn't feel anything else, and I continued struggling to live.
You can't stop and wait and begin thinking. You work like a machine in that moment. The only thing is to survive. You must survive.
%50 of the fuselage of the living space was used by the snow, by the avalanche, so we were trapped, compressed into half of the space.
Los 19 vivos y los 8 muertos, todos apretados en un espacio muy cerrado, muy chico.
It was like a submarine being on the bottom of the ocean. How do you get out of there?
Había como una especie de desesperación y de confusión y nadie sabía qué hacer.
We were there for 3 days. 3 days covered by snow. We don't know when it was day or when it was night because we have no light.
And just and having to feed ourselves with a body that died, something difficult to do, to accept.
Hubo una sensación de caos porque uno de nosotros apurado abrió un cuerpo al lado nuestro que estaba tibio todavía. Fue muy desagradable. Creo que casi nadie quiso tomar de ese cuerpo.
The third day after the avalanche, when we tried to light a cigarette, we couldn't make fire, and we realized we were getting lack of oxygen inside the fuselage. It was all covered with snow.
We said, okay, don't move too much. Don't use too much oxygen, air. We didn't know how much air we had.
Si no actuamos ya, nos morimos ahogados como ratas.
And somebody came with ideas and let's say, let's break the window from the cockpit. Let's make a tunnel to get out of there. So we took turns to excavate with our hands. Somebody with a little piece of aluminum that they found inside the airplane. They use it as a scoop. We broke the surface like rabbits coming out of a hole.
And we went out through the tunnel like rats across the cockpit, and pushing out with our legs went out through the hole of the window and a hole in the snow that was covering the plane.
And outside it was a beautiful sunny day without any wind, very silent, all clean, all the remains of the bodies and the plane was all covered with very clean snow.
I want to cry, filled with emotion. What I saw. I saw the sky in a clean and beautiful blue.
The avalanche was a turning point also.
We understand that we were in a difficult place, that another avalanche can occur, and we will be covered again, and some more guys will die.
More avalanches, why should this be the only one? So the way we slept every night that we went into the fuselage, we went inside with a different kind of fear also. We added one more fear to the fears that we had.
We we really felt death much more closer.
So we decided to organize the quickly as we can an expedition to going outside and look for help.
I knew I was going to leave that fuselage and try to get out or die in the attempt.
Extreme survival.
Every minute that went by, we were not surviving, we were dying. That's something that people have to put in their minds. Every minute, we were dying. Every day, we were more dead than the day before.
When we went out from the avalanche, I get a gangrene. I was my own surgeon. I cut here and saved my leg, but I couldn't walk anymore. My friends came to help me every day, and I couldn't walk, I couldn't make anything, and I began to eat much more little pieces of flesh, and lose many kilos. I lose 45 kilos, 50% of my initial weight.
Obviously, I didn't want to die. I didn't want to die. I didn't want the mountains to take away from me my life. I had to take into account the physical state that we were having. We had to attempt the escape before we were too weak to attempt it. Among the group, there were 3 or 4 guys who were stronger. Myself, Roberto, Tintin, and we were called the expeditionaries. So we were rugby members of the same team and very good friends also. You know, rugby is a game of trust, friendship, giving yourself to the team. And they said, yeah, we're going with you.
That's when we organized the first expedition with Parrado, Canessa, and Vicentin, going to the east. That it would be the best way to go. And they were really very scared because we thought, everybody, that going to the east, you were going inside the Andes.
We were walking about 2 or 3 hours away from the fuselage, and suddenly we crested one snow hill, and we saw the tail. We thought the tail had to be on the other side of the mountains, but it had cartwheeled down the valleys down there. And I said, oh man, look at the tail. Maybe there's some food there. So we rushed to the tail, we looked for everything. There were suitcases there. So we found like 15 suitcases there. We found 4 chocolate bonbons, sweets, 4 chocolate sweets over there. Obviously, we ate them. We looked for more food, no food, but we found some sweaters, some clothing.
And also they found the battery of the plane. They decided to suspend the expedition and return to the plane.
Let's bring the batteries up and we can connect them to the radios and we can call for help.
We need to have hope in making work that radio with thousands of cables.
Obviously, we didn't have any idea about radio equipment, technology, or anything. But we took the batteries from the airplane and we put them on a suitcase. We made like a sledge, but the batteries are this big and very heavy. To pull them up the mountain, 3 hours to the fuselage, was impossible. It was impossible. We said, okay, let's go up and bring Roy Harley down. Roy knew something about sound equipment because he had connected a sound equipment in his home.
I wasn't an engineer. I tried to convince them that I didn't know nothing of engineer, of radio, electronic, or anything. But everybody said, no, Roy, this is the last option we have to be in rescue. So I haven't any alternative. And I said, okay, if you said there, we will try. We'll try that. And when I reached the tail, I found my suitcase. It was in perfect condition. And it was incredible because I opened the suitcase, everything was in order. And I breathed in the clothes and I felt the smell of my home. I was transported to at home. It was incredible. Tintin and Nando go 2 times carrying things from the tail to the fuselage. For example, cigarettes or cloth.
Nos trajeron de la cola una cantidad de paquetes de cigarrillos que nos venía muy bien. Y se pusieron Canessa y Roy a desenredar todos los cables de la radio para llevarla a la cola.
So we work a lot, taking out the radio of the plane, taking out some parts in the cabin of the pilots, and we take out the antenna in the roof of the fuselage.
We didn't have any tools. We had the system there, broken all the parts, but there were like 100 cables coming out of the radio and 100 cables coming out from the electrical system.
I was looking at the end, one positive and negative wire to put it in the battery, but it wasn't so easy. The radio works at 110 volts, and in the battery we have only 48 volts. We stayed there with Roberto 8 days, trying to make work the radio. That was impossible.
Over there, the 4 of us, Tintin, Roberto, myself, and Roy, we tried everything. I said, okay, let's go back to the fuselage and tell the guys that this didn't work. The day was not very nice, quite cloudy, gray clouds, a little bit of wind. But we knew our direction up the slopes to the fuselage.
And it was really a difficult task to go back because we must to climb to the fuselage.
And we started to climb, the 4 of us, climbing and climbing and climbing, 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 climbing. And then suddenly I didn't like what I saw. Clouds were getting lower, darker. The wind was increasing. Suddenly a big, huge storm, windy storm, hit us, the 4 of us, over there.
very difficult for me, and Nando gave me a great help.
I pulled him for about half an hour, something like that, until we found the fuselage. I threw him on the door over there, and I was wasted. Completely wasted.
But then when we reached there, we found that during this period of time, 2 more guys died. So that was the moment that we decided that we must go out. The only thing that we really know that if we walk to the west, at the west was Chile.
It was really our last hope.
What would happen on that airplane when the situation arrives and there won't be any more bodies there? What would happen? And I told the guys, I won't be here. I will be climbing, I will be falling on a crevasse, I will be dying on a glacier, but I won't be here looking at your eyes.
Extreme survival.
When you're stranded and you have plenty of time, what do? We had to fill the time. We prayed and we also fantasized about going back to Montevideo. We spoke about religion, about God, about death, about life.
We talk about the restaurants and the meat, and the beaches, and the so beautiful summers we have.
And we made a list of all the food that we wanted to have if we survived. We wanted sweet things, sweet, very sugar, not salt things. We tried to create the sweetest dish anybody can imagine, you know, dulce leche and Nutella and sugar mixed together.
But we realized very soon that talking about food, it was not the best way because our stomach started working and it was not good. So we started just talking about the logistics and how to organize the expedition to get out, and not much more than that.
I told the guys, look, we're going to leave. You could feel death flying over the fuselage, you know, waiting and waiting.
Again, we prepared the strongest guys, Roberto, Nando, and Tintin. We give the best places to sleep at night so they can rest. We give more food again, and we prepare them.
And we start doing all the sleeping bag.
Antonio discovered some insulation material between the wall of the airplane, and he put that on his chest. no, below his sweater. I said, gives me a lot of warmth. So we took that. Somebody found a needle on a purse, and with copper wire that we found on the electrical system of the airplane, sewed those pieces together, and he created like a sleeping bag of insulation material that would be crucial on our trek.
So we spent a lot of days just preparing everything, the best as we could. I always was sure that Nando would get out. He don't imagine how important it was for me and how much it helped me. His convincement to get out.
I was so afraid, so deeply afraid, that I don't know how I could, give that sentiment of confidence. Maybe I was saying that to give me some strength, or to deviate myself from the reality of the trek,
Pero llegó un momento que era inevitable. Tenía que salir o salir. Y yo miraba a Roy y miraba a Coche y sabía que les quedaban muy pocos días.
After 2 months, some people have deteriorated more than other ones. And, Coche, Roy were just on a free fall to death. They were dying faster than you can think of. If we leave earlier, maybe we can save these guys also if we reach help. So that was the situation over there. Quietness on the fuselage, death looming over the fuselage.
Canessa estiraba, Canessa era el que estaba más precavido y que menos ganas tenía de... Tanto que hicimos mucha presión a Canessa para que saliera, presionados por la muerte de Numa.
My father was here in my mind. I also had my father as a lighthouse for me. I could picture him at home, having lost his wife, his daughter, his only son, on the same instant. And I told Roberto, let's leave in the next 2 days. I need you. You're the strongest one here with me, and Antonio. Come with me. I cannot do it alone. I'm afraid. I'm very afraid. Come with me. I never looked back. Everything that you can imagine that a mountain has, we went by. All the time, 2.5 months until that moment, I was dead. But then hope. Please, come and help us.
Everybody was waiting for the explanation of what we did, how we could survive. Many of us, they were very worried about that.
And you can catch the concluding part tomorrow at 10 or watch it now on My5. Brand new drama on Channel 5 as James Buckley and Neil Morrissey become unlikely partners in crime. Finders Keepers is brand new next Wednesday at 9. A motorcyclist and a baseball attack victim are in urgent need next at A&E After Dark.